in the middle of the slide deck, there's a clown.
Oh, there you go. That's what it really is. Okay, now it comes out.
Ready
Clown
to
in the
start?
closet. That's what it should be. All right. Hey, Jeff, let people in, but mute them. We'll just tell them.
Everyone will be muted coming in.
Oh, no, David White's on this one. Is that what David looks like without that thing underneath
without his grooming beard?
Oh, David, I know you can hear us. You're gonna have to show a picture of yourself. There we go. Look, David, show us this. That is very impressive. So I know, one, that won't go down any of Kelly's toilets, and I doubt we can hide that in any of Jim's closets. So I'm not sure the relevance of David being on this call. Everybody, we're gonna start in about 2 minutes. We're just having a little fun with commodes and closets, trying something different today. Hopefully, as Rob put it, it's not gonna be a shit show, literally. Let's see who has showed up.
Now we're going to have to go back and bleep that out.
Yes, that's okay. Jeff King is always on. I wonder if Jeff will insure toilets. I bet he does. And look at Jeff's house, by the way. Nope, I'm not saying that insurance rates have gone up, but if you look at where Jeff is sitting right now, I'm just saying, you know, I'm sure insurance rates went up because of claims, not because of what the brokers are charging, but I don't see anybody else's house look like that. I see Jim still living in his closet. Just pointing it out.
Wow.
And it's great when they can't speak to defend themselves. That's like the best time. That's like a lawyer's dream. It was just, and I got to do a shout out to Mark. I think it's Mandang. I was on a call earlier today, and we used the same Zoom. And Mark gets on, and before my other guy gets on, and I said, "Mark, do we have a call that I didn't know about?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm here for the Clozzits and Commodes." And so I think he got the, he must have been on Eastern time or something like that. He's like, "Am I early?" I said, "Like an hour and 45 minutes, but I'm happy to talk to you for an hour and 45 minutes if you want." He hung up. Back now. He's a good sport. All right. What time do we have? Give it one more minute. So all I can say is,
Meryl just said that he's in his private office.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I was looking at. I was like, what is that?
So it looks like Kim Schultz Rainford has a serious setup going there. She's got like an entire podcast setup going there. I'm very impressed. I do too, but I don't show everybody what I'm talking to. She's got like serious stuff going on. Rob, you need to get me some of that stuff. All right. So we have Kelly unmuted and we have Jim unmuted. So we'll kind of start this off real quick. I've known Kelly for a long time, and she's a great sport when stuff comes up regarding water issues. And our last one was a big deal because we talked about public adjusters and how it was relevant with the winter storm Uri that came through and decimated a lot of our parts of our assets, including my own. So it was very clear that we should have Kelly back on. She can talk about some of the meters that we talked about and just her general services that they normally do. And then I had the good fortune of being down at a real estate conference about 3 or 4 weeks ago in Houston. And Kelly introduced me to Jim Monk, who's, I don't know where he is on your screen, but he's the guy who looks like he's in a closet. I promised him I would not make any coming out of the closet jokes. So I'm not going to make any coming out of the closet jokes. He's going to stay in the closet for this webinar. But Jim has got a very, very unique product. It's his company. It's kind of, I'm probably not going to describe it the right way, but it's like a multifamily version of California Clozzits, but scaled more towards multifamily, and clearly has, in my opinion, and Kelly's and some other clients, some value add and just strictly appeal for occupancy. So I thought both of them might be very good and good timing because we're still going through COVID. We still have tenants that haven't paid. We have the CDC that extended the bullshit, excuse my French, Jeff, you can bleep that later, order till June 30th. So none of us are going to have an office that looks like Jeff King's up there. Maybe we should all go into insurance because we know insurance rates have definitely dropped and the insurance guys aren't making any more money. Look at what Jeff's looking at in the back. See where the guy is living right now. So I am going to be in charge of the PowerPoint, and this is actually not going to be the Merrill show, as my wife calls it sometimes to annoy me. This is going to be the Kelly and the Jim show. So I may push them a little bit to get through some of the slides so that if I see anybody sleeping, we're going to screenshot you, number one. But if I see anybody sleeping after Rob screenshots you, then, we're going to push these slides through. So, Kelly, nobody's going to sleep during yours. Jim, not so sure. Yeah, I know. And by the way, everybody, Jim's an Aggie. Just going to leave it there, let it sink in. But he's still a friend, so it's okay. And I just,
It's okay, yeah.
No more. Jim,
did
how did
not
I not know that? I
Look at
mean,
this.
that's it. I just blocked your number. We're done.
I know.
What?
And I didn't wear
That
my
quick.
quarter zip like everybody says I always wear. No UT quarter zip in honor of the Closet King. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we are going to let Merrill shut up and let Potty Princess go. And by the way, she is the number one in number two.
And number two, yeah, it's a pretty crappy business.
It is crappy.
Yeah, it is.
Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so in case you guys didn't know, coming with Tuesdays with the team with Merrill, it's a whole lot of giggles, humor, but we always come away with a lot of great nuggets, and that's what we're hoping for tonight. So I'm not sure how this happened other than the fact that I'm the only one that has a Bitmoji, but that is thanks to Merrill and Rob. So Rob and I worked together and he did a fantastic job putting together my cartoon character, right? So, and by the way, the Potty Princess kind of evolved out of COVID. So in case you guys were wondering where that came from, it's so you can follow the hashtag the Potty Princess to tie back to our organization SAS. Okay, so what I focus on, guys, so some of you, because I see some of you out there in the group here, that some of you have already been engaged with me through different virtual platforms, or maybe we've had some conversations offline. But here's the thing that I want to make sure that we drive home tonight is that we are not operating properties today the way we were operating properties a year ago, 2 years ago, or five years ago. And even with your investors, right? So your returns might be a little bit different today. So it's really, really important that, like from a professional standpoint, from a personal standpoint, we are always investing in ourselves, okay? What are you doing as operators as well as LPs in investing in yourself to ensure that you are maximizing cash flow on your property? So it's important that we continue to evaluate all these different solutions that are coming forward. And, while sustainability is my platform, I have two very young girls, definitely want to preserve our world's most precious resource for them. And through that, the win for you guys is improved cash flow and boosted asset values. So what we're going to talk about here is a little bit of potty talk around, some of the toilets, the shower heads, and those aerators, and how that really impacts NOI on the property and why you should be evaluating the consumption patterns. So if we can move on to the next slide. Thank you. So guys, water and sewer rates are not going down, okay? They are going to continue to increase year over year. I have seen recent releases across several different utility providers where we are exceeding that standard underwriting of like that 3% increase. I'm seeing increases that are hitting like 10, 15. I just saw one earlier today in South Carolina, 30% increase, not on the water, on the sewer, okay? So the sewer rate now in this particular utility provider in this town is 3 times the rate of the water. This is important for everybody here tonight to understand. The sewer infrastructure is seriously, it's grappling. It is basically deteriorating. And as these utility providers are meeting every month and they're voting to approve those unplanned purchases or unplanned repairs on the sewer infrastructure, because the demand is, not only is the demand outweighing the supply, but at the time that supply is outweighing the maintenance on the sewer infrastructure. And the only way that sewer can run is down, and it's very expensive. So at this time, and this may change, based upon which economist you speak with, but at this time, your water and sewer rates are actually rising faster. They're outpacing the rate of inflation.
Hey,
So,
Kelly.
Yes.
So do you think there's a direct correlation with COVID and people staying home and pooping more that increase this, or is this just literally less infrastructure, more of a supply and demand issue? And I kind of joke around about the staying home and pooping more, but clearly water bills and water consumption, not just bills, but water consumption has been higher last year in looking at our assets over the year before. If you just look at volume.
Great question. Absolutely. So last year, I'm a numbers nerd. I may not look like it. So again, never judge a book by its cover. But I am a numbers nerd, and I look at all these analytics. So last year during the stay-at-home orders, I noticed on our clients' properties, because once we install, after we install, I follow for the years after. And what we found is the actual consumption increased anywhere from 3 to 5 times. And whether you are an all bills paid, or whether you might be running a flat fee back to your residents or a percentage, that is still going to impact your overall expense line and NOI. And as most of us are starting to go back to school, some of us are going back into the offices, some of us are going on vacation, we are starting to see that consumption trend downward. However, I don't think that those consumption patterns are going to return to pre-COVID levels. I think they're going to be increased. So for those properties that are typically built before 1990, you're going to see some inefficiencies. And it's important not only to look at the actual dollar amount of your water and sewer bill, but to actually look at the consumption amount, because it's the consumption pattern that is driving what your rate is. So I am your phone a friend for anything toilet trivia, okay? So at the conclusion of this, and I think, Meryl, we're gonna send out the recording, right? So make sure you program my phone number into your phone, because at some point Trivial Pursuit is gonna put in toilet trivia, and they're going to ask you, how many times does the average person flush a toilet a day? And the answer is 3 to 5 times a day. So 3 to 5 times a day we flush the toilet. So if you're in a multifamily property and you have 2 individuals in there and you have inefficient fixtures, that's a heck of a lot of water. But this graphic right here I love, because this breaks down the actual percentage by plumbing fixture for indoor consumption. So we're talking about your toilet is using 24% of your indoor consumption, and your shower is running 20%, because the average person runs the shower for 10 minutes. They may not be in the shower for 10 minutes, but they turn it on. And then they might hop in and they might shower in 2 minutes and hop out. Okay. If you have inefficient fixtures, this is seriously where you are sending money down the drain. And at this time, especially in this sensitive economic climate, we need to turn over every single penny to rent distributions. I'm an investor myself. I expect my GPs to be looking at every single efficiency. And whether you're a GP or an LP, you should be looking at this.
One of the things we started implementing, because you said that, we now have a dietitian that shows up at each one of our multifamily. And we've been training people that you only have to eat the same number of calories that you burn. So what it does is it decreases the flush per day. And so then we offer benefits. If you only flush 2 times a day, you get a 5% decrease on your rent. So I know you're looking at implementing that as part of your water conservation program, the new dietitian division. I know Carl was talking.
So for those operators that do like the welcome baskets, and you might have like high fiber snacks, you guys need to remove those high fiber snacks from your welcome basket. And that's going to help. That'll help reduce it. You're fine.
Good. I'm just joking around. Yeah, I love stats. I'm curious, what is other?
Other might be like your dishwasher, or if they're allowed to bring in a personal refrigerator that has an ice maker, or the front of the wall or front of the refrigerator water device. That's where other is going to sit. Okay, cool. Okay, and your flappers, like your flappers in your toilets. You know, if you have a 35-year-old toilet, or even if you have a 10-year-old toilet, those rubber flappers sitting in the toilet only have a lifespan of 2 years. And I call it the silent leak, because most often the first year that those flappers start to leak, you don't hear them. My kids have, while some of you in the industry have nicknamed me the potty princess, my kids have nicknamed me the toilet whisperer, because I can walk into a bathroom and I'm like, do you not hear that? The toilet is leaking. And they're like, no, I can't hear that. And so we have to shut everything down. And then I have to do what I call flip the lid. And you flip the lid and you can actually hear at that point, there is water leaking underneath the flapper. Those flappers can leak out over 100 gallons a day. And if you're scaling across, you know, a smaller property, you're scaling across 100 bathroom property, you know, and 13% of those units are leaking, that's a lot of water.
Do you guys fix the flappers in the units?
Oh my gosh, no. No, I take them out. Why fix them, right? When there's new technology. And I love that. I mean, this is a perfect segue, Meryl, because this is why I love partnering with Niagara. So SAS only installs the Niagara branded products. I have partnered with Niagara because they are absolutely the best in the world. And what I like about them is they didn't just make pretty toilets, they actually re-engineered the toilet. And they removed the flapper. So any of those work orders that, you know, your residents might send in for a running toilet, which most often doesn't happen, you don't have to worry about that. You are protecting your asset from ongoing leaks. So the EPA, so this graphic right here, the EPA states that the average gallon per flush on a toilet in a multifamily property is 2.76 gallons per flush. And I am going to take you down to 0.8 gallons. And that sounds like a massive decrease. And I can only imagine I can't see everybody out there because not everybody has their camera on. I can just see the eye rolls. Oh, I got a double flush. Because there's like that negative stigma, right?
Hey, Kelly,
so it's going to happen.
Aren't my toilets 0.8?
Your toilets are 0.8.
I use Kelly's Niagara toilets. I think we have a little bit higher end than normal, but we remodeled our house. So I have 5 of Kelly's Niagara toilets. I think before they were from 1992. And so if I have 5, and I'm at 0.8, so I'm only using what, 4 gallons versus 5 times 2.5, which is 12.5 gallons. And I have, everybody in my house eats fiber. So we're at least doing 5 flushes a day. So,
Yeah.
you know, we all think of you every time we use the toilet. I just want you to know
Well,
that.
I mean, that just makes me so happy. You guys will never look at a toilet the same again after tonight. And I joke about this, right? Because if I ever lose my phone and somebody picks it up, they're going to think I have like a really sick hobby, because I have all these really strange, like, toilet videos and toilet pictures and text messages. But it's because people send me, I want to give back in the community. So people will send me messages like, hey, you know, is this a water waster? Is there opportunity, right? So that is really important. This is a team sport effort, guys. In multifamily, in investing, you cannot do this by yourself. You need resources. You guys are educated enough to be dangerous in it. Let me be your phone a friend for everything water efficiency. And I'm testing these toilets. I'm testing the technology that's out there. I am unfiltered, so I'm going to give you the absolute best and worst scenario of each situation. So it's important to take a look at those toilets. We can reduce that water and sewer expense 20 to 40%. You know, I've seen it, you know, recently we just did a property in Irving. It had a 58% reduction on their water and sewer expense line on an all bills paid property. I mean, seriously, those investors are like super happy. So you take that into the shower heads, you take it into the faucets. But here's the thing I want to drive home with everybody tonight is that I had this conversation earlier with an individual out of Atlanta. And he was like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about I think we're just going to spend money on the shower heads. And I love that they're looking at the efficiency. But the reason why they were doing that is because they want the least invasive install. It really didn't have anything to do with the capital investment. It was about, hey, we just want to be in the unit for a couple minutes and out. My crews are in and out of your unit less than 15 minutes. Full turnkey, inspected, we are done. But 25% of the residents on your properties are going to install their personal shower head. It's going to happen. So unless you guys install a tamper-proof shower head, they're probably going to remove it if they want to. A shower head is just as personal as toilet paper. Okay? I have yet to see a resident remove a toilet. And let me share with you, if your resident is removing your toilet, you have bigger problems. Okay, so if you want to protect the ongoing savings and underwriting that you've done, you have to start with the toilet. You have to. I mean, I can't drive that home anymore. Especially, I personally have walked in the last 3.5 years. I personally have seen over 20,000 bathrooms. Okay, that's a lot of potties. And that's how I know that 25% of your residents are putting personal shower heads in. That's not an EPA standard. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So I think we've kind of dug this, right? So 3 to 5 time consumption.
So let's
talk about the financials.
Let's talk numbers.
Yeah, this is my favorite piece, right? So how much is it going to cost me, right? So let's just take the example. You've got, you know, a 200 unit property, and let's just say $55,000, you know, CapEx expense. Most of the partners we work with them at the preliminary stage where they are getting ready to submit an LOI. Okay. So that way they are underwriting in the beginning, and that helps them make a more competitive offer on the property. So let's just say that average year one savings is $50,000, because my crews, I have crews all across the country. I have 13 crews that you can partner with. And through that, they enter into 50 to 60 bathrooms a day. We're on and off the properties very quickly. So if you have a $50,000 year one savings, and good luck finding a 6.5 cap, especially in DFW. But if you did, you'd be looking at a $769,000 asset value boost. And that's a 20x ROI. I mean, you can tell Grant Cardone, I don't 10x it, I 20x it.
Really?
Right?
You had to go there on my podcast.
Yes.
That's great.
Serious cash flow, right?
But yeah, look, Kelly, you already know we've used you guys, and I'm gonna guess that about 50% of our clients utilize you guys, and there are probably other companies that, well, there are a few other companies out there, but from my personal experience, nobody provides the service that you guys do. And I'm not getting paid to say this, though I do have 5 toilets in my house. They were given earlier on. She actually delivered them herself, which was, I mean, she's very hands-on. She installed them too. It was pretty cool. I had no idea she could install toilets.
I did not install those, but I have installed plenty of toilets. I even installed my mother-in-law's toilet on Mother's Day. So that's how much I believe in the technology.
And so I just had my son check our toilets for a flap, and they are flapless. And I was shocked. I didn't know I was getting flapless toilets. So that's something to think about next time I'm on it. I appreciate that. But bottom line is the savings, agree with you 100%. If you're in DFW, you're probably looking at a 4.5 to 5 cap, maybe even lower. And so that's real numbers. And for some of you that aren't kind of thinking how that works out, you know, cap rate, it's your NOI divided by your cap rate, and your NOI is your net operating income. So either you're going to increase your income, or you're going to decrease your expenses. One or both of those increase your NOI. So here, clearly you're showing that you have 55 grand in CapEx to get a savings of $250,000. And you take that number and you're decreasing your expenses, which is going to increase your NOI, assuming nothing else increases your NOI. And you may get other things, and people may want to move into your particular asset because you have new flapless toilets and you have special water efficient faucets and shower heads. And you know, the next person we talk to also has that same benefit. But yeah, I mean, it works. And I would strongly encourage everybody who's looking at a deal right now, this needs to be done ASAP. They'll come in, they'll spend an hour or two on this, whatever it takes, maybe 2 or 3 hours. They'll ask for a couple water bills. They'll look at the property, and they'll give you a pretty good estimate of what you're going to be saving. And yeah, you factor that in up front. So it's not something you have to figure out, is that coming out of my operating income? You know, 55 grand on a $20-30 million deal with 800,000 or $1 million in CapEx, that's nothing. And it's going to show direct benefit. So yeah, I love this chart. And by the way, everybody, you're going to get a copy of this tomorrow morning. You get a copy of the deck. I also told Rob to tell everybody on the chat box, put your contact information, introduce yourself. It's, you know, we're technically not, well, not technically, we're still not doing live happy hours. So normally you'd be meeting each other and BSing with each other, and you wouldn't have to listen to us talk all the time. So feel free to share your information with each other, and you guys can reach out and make connections. Let's see what else Kelly's got for us.
Yeah.
What
So, thank you for that testimony, Meryl. Yes, you're not paid, so I want to make that clear. You won't be getting a check tomorrow.
Looks like it's a closet guy.
You know, we talk about this, right? So bridge loans are really popular right now. So that's something to think about, right? So you might take a bridge loan. You have 2 to 3 years to run everything, and then you are going to refi. You should include this in with that CapEx on the bridge loan, because there is significant data backing this up. So when you refi, you're boosting that asset value. So as you guys are touring properties, okay, if you see these types of fixtures,
This
you
is
need
beautiful.
to call me. Oh my gosh, that is not even the worst that we've seen. And my crews, I have the utmost gratitude for our crews that are out there in the field. They are doing a phenomenal job. We all know how sometimes our residents don't treat their units as delicately as we would expect them to, but we get the job done, okay? So with this, you know, for example, like on the very far left screen, if you see a tank like that, that is your good old 1980s 3.5 gallon per flush toilet. You need to call me, okay? You are literally flushing money down the toilet. And I love all of you who, you know, post all those videos out there, because we're all getting so much more social media friendly. And through that, right, you know, you guys are running tours of each of your individual units and the unit upgrades. And I get so excited when you guys are like in the kitchen and you're like, look at the cabinets, look at the faucet, look at the backsplash, and then you're touring down the hallway. And I'm just like, I'm waiting for the bathroom, because I'm like, I want to see what you did in there. And then you get in there and you have all these fantastic finishes. And then you have this toilet that's like 5 gallons of flush. And my first question is, how much are you billing back to your residents for water? Because that is literal NOI you're missing out on, okay? So reach out to me. I mean, this is the piece that, you know, we have so many different Class B and Class C properties out there. Reach out. I don't expect you to be, you know, the resource. Let me help you. I want to help you. The other side of this, guys, is this is the other part is, you know, even though we come in and we will consult with you around everything water efficiency, what do you do at that point when there's a leak, right? What is your, you know, standard operating procedure? Do you wait for the resident to call you and be like, hey, there's like this giant bubble that's coming down from the second floor and I think it's going to pop. I don't know what's in there. Or do you wait for the next water bill? So this is a fantastic type of technology that's available that is very cost effective. I've worked very, very hard over the last couple of years to partner with the right manufacturer. And that is one of the blessings that came out of COVID, is that my travel stopped literally overnight. And it required me to, you know, basically refocus what I was going to do. And so I refocused my efforts on bringing you guys real-time water consumption monitoring at an effective rate. And here you go. This is a great snapshot of something that occurred right during Snowvid. For those of you that were in Texas that enjoyed, you know, the Texas energy crisis and everybody's pipes freezing. This is a fantastic screenshot from a property where we have our water monitor sensors. And in the evening, we noticed abnormal consumption that just popped up, almost 3,000 gallons. That's a lot of money if we had not caught that in real time. And I can get you down to minute by minute. And we reached out to the owner. We knew that they already had a whole lot of things going on with pipes being frozen, no power, but it was identified that they had a pipe burst and it was in a vacant unit, and it probably would not have been realized until the resident next door or below them had reported it. But we were able to help them immediately, and we saved them quite a bit of money. Okay.
That's
so
great.
I mean, I encourage you guys to go back and look at your business plan. What is your business plan for monitoring your abnormal water consumption patterns? What are you doing? Are you waiting for the next bill to come about? Or are you waiting for, you know, a resident to report a leak? Because it's not if a leak is going to happen, it's when a leak is going to happen. This is multifamily, it's happening. So this is a great protection. It's non-invasive installation. It's all cloud-based. I monitor it for you with my team. By the way, all of the notifications hit my personal cell phone. I'm sure that AT&T thinks that I'm crazy because I have like 1,000 text messages a day, but it lets me know the real-time notifications. I hold that for you guys. And if it's really a burden, I'm going to reach out to your team and say, hey, I know it's 11:30 at night. You guys need to send maintenance out. There's an issue. Because it's all about protecting every single penny of our NOI right now. We need to boost that cash flow. So this is a great example. I want to show you guys the next slide here.
Is that it?
Yep, this is it. So guys, this is a real property. And that previous slide was a real property in Dallas. This is a property they're based in San Antonio. I'm not going to share who they are. They're based in San Antonio. They did not think that their fixtures were that inefficient. They were like, hey, I know we have old fixtures. We don't know if we want to put the capital out. We don't know what to do. What I love about these sensors is you get to the golden hours. The golden hours are like, that 1:30 to 5 o'clock in the morning when the property should be dormant. If you have ongoing water consumption occurring in the middle of the night, either one of your residents is running a car wash in the middle of the night, or you have a bunch of leaky toilets. And this is it. They were leaking on average over 20 gallons a minute from leaky flappers. And that was costing them $570 per day. And by the way, this was an all bills paid property. We have corrected this for them. And because we've corrected this, just clearing this leak out, it boosted the asset value $3.2 million, just on the leak alone.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, let that sink in, because they just refied. There's some happy investors out there.
So yeah, you really can get excited about toilets.
Seriously, I mean, it is a significant impression on your cash flow. For me, I'm fulfilled because you guys are helping me preserve water from, for our future generations. But in turn, I'm delivering that cash flow. So somebody asked me the other day, actually, it was my daughter's friend. I was dropping her off at her house, and I had one of these sensors on the floorboard of the back of my truck, and she gets out and she thought it was an ankle monitor.
Yeah, mommy needs an ankle monitor.
Yep. And I go, no, but I love your analogy. So I used to call it a hug for your water meter, but I'm going to call it the ankle monitor for your water meter. What's occurring? When it does something bad, it's going to tell you, and it literally just wraps around the top of your water meter.
Where are you putting this? Are you putting this as the water goes into the building, or is this per unit, or does it depend?
No, it just goes directly on each water meter, and then we can build it out. If you want to get per unit level, you can. It's not very cost effective though when you get into Class C properties, and then you're dealing with additional assets that you have to secure from your residents. So addressing the inefficiencies and then putting some type of monitoring on your master meters, this is perfect. And I can help you back into where you need to go with best practices. And again, my team and I monitor all of this. So that's the world of water efficiencies. And you guys can connect with me. And I know that we're going to send this out. You guys can connect with me. Yeah, this is my cell phone number. You can reach out to our website. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook at hashtag the Potty Princess, and you'll get, Rob and Meryl's great little videos that they put out there, as well as the additional content that we are rolling out.
And guys, we're gonna switch gears. Kelly has an emergency house call at Perry's. Apparently, they've got some toilet issues at Perry's, so she's going to have a nice steak dinner and make sure she fills up so she can go check out Perry's.
Yeah, I have some field testing to do.
Yeah, I like how you really take your work seriously, and you put anyway. But all kidding aside, you and I will talk later about some add-on businesses like toilet paper, dietitians, food counseling, and some other things that would help provide more value add. And then, that's a good segue into Clozzits. Thanks, Kelly. So what we have here is we have not created a logo for Jim Monk. So I created my own. I called it King of Clozzits because we had the Potty Princess. So we have a nice transition from Commodes to Clozzits. And this is very unique because to all of us, Jim has never come out of the closet to our C-class multifamily. So in essence, Jim is coming out of his closets to talk to us who buy B and C class multifamily. And
I'm making money, Meryl. Coming out of the closet to make money.
Well, make us money, yeah.
Yes.
Rob and I had the good fortune through Kelly, as I said earlier, to have met Jim, who's here in Dallas about 4 weeks ago at the MFIN. And I'll be the first to know, you guys know me, I'm very pessimistic, and I'm like, come on, who cares? California Clozzits, blah, blah, blah. And he's smiling because I'm sure he's heard it before. And then we sat down, and even with 2 scotches, I understood the numbers, and I'm like, that's really interesting. I said, I would love to have you on our webinar. Normally I don't have a lot of vendors, but I think this could be something people should look at, especially as they're, I don't want to say scraping, but everybody's searching for these value add or, the next best kind of edge to get you, get your occupancy higher than your competitors, your neighbors. So Jim was gracious enough to come out of the closet. And as you can see, he's living in the closet behind you as compared to Randy, who lives in a palace. But Jim,
Mine's being renovated.
Yeah. Hey, look, your closet looks great. I wish my closet looked that nice, to be honest with you. I'm not letting my wife see what your closet looks like. So
I wouldn't let others see it. You're going to see a couple different decors back there. So
you're presenting Clozzits, and I tried to explain to Jim that he spelled it wrong. And then I happened to notice he's wearing an A&M ring. So guys, that's it all. I can't even go over spelling with him. So I accept him for what he is. I have a lot of friends that are Aggies, and I do know down at Texas A&M, they spell Clozzits, Clozzit. Just messing with this.
No, that's great.
Yeah, so he's going to go over this, and I'm going to hit the next slide so you can start. Sorry, I'm trying to get used to
this. You went back to Kelly's. Okay, no.
This is you.
Yeah, there you go.
Sales presentation Clozzits. You tell me when you want me to flip.
Not a problem. Well, first off, welcome everybody. I know what you're probably already thinking, which is what I started 3 years ago looking at, which was there's no money in closet systems or in the closet itself for multifamily. And as a passive investor myself, with a number of units, I was sitting down with a business partner to give you a little bit of a backstory and talking to him, and he ran the largest renovations company in the country for multifamily. And so he's working with multi-billion-dollar REITs and so forth, and family offices. And I said, look, what do we need to do to move the needle? We've done the hard surfaces, we've done the quartz, we've done the flooring, we've done the paint. And I know a lot of you are probably shaking your head. Yes, you're right. We've done a lot of those things, or you're getting ready to purchase a property that's already went through 2 or 3 iterations of upgrades and so on. So for us, at the time, it was, well, where else can we go? And the simple question was, what is the one area of the apartment that has not been touched yet? So Stephen, who's my business partner, thought about it for a couple of weeks and came back and said, well, it's the closet. There's no money in the closets. We're putting wire racking in, or we're doing MDF. And that led me down the path of looking at, is there a business case that allows me personally as an investor to generate 3 to 5% rent increases? Now, again, this is all pre-COVID here. And what we found was that in those C, B, and A classes, but particularly the B's and A class property sets, we were able to generate those types of returns of the 3 to 5%. And I'll talk a little bit more about why. And you can switch the slide here if you'd like, Meryl. Thank you. And one of the biggest things, and I'm sure all of you've dealt with, is not only were we trying to increase the rents and move the needle, but we were also facing massive competition all the time, especially here in Dallas. So for myself, I'm a highly competitive individual, and I would get frustrated when I drive by and see, oh, there's a crane going up, which means I'm getting ready to have a new neighbor in the area that's got a multifamily unit set that's decked out with all the amenities that I can't personally compete against. And these are some base numbers here, and these still hold relatively true today, even on a post-COVID stance, which is that, occupancy levels are high. There's a lot of multifamily supply coming on the market. The market's heating up also on acquisition activity, as we know. And so for us, what the challenge was how do we compete and stay within something that's going to get us an ROI over the next couple of years and get us those rent supports. And then ultimately, as Meryl was saying earlier, and Kelly, was the effects to the NOI, and ultimately as we exit the property, benefiting from that. So just kind of give you a little bit of background here on this. If you don't mind, Meryl, next slide, please. So biggest thing is more competition, more challenges. Not already having water issues in the marketplace, as far as Kelly was talking about, you're also trying to maintain those occupancy levels in the renewals, sustaining and increasing the revenues, and increasing the asset value of the property. The word that a lot of my clients, or our clients in Clozzits here, is yield. How much yield are we getting out of the property? And I know the door set is getting more and more expensive, which means there's less money to put into the property and so forth. So for a lot of our clients, they're looking at something that would be what I call a light touch to the unit set that allows them to get that rent increase or justification that they're looking for. Next slide, please. It was much more natural with Kelly's flow. So for us, and in the industry, and why we even exist, is what if there was a low-cost upgrade that increased the rents, increased the value of the property, and also it differentiated you in the marketplace? That was the ultimate question that we had within the company. And the company's been around roughly 3 years. We've grown into 17 markets already, and we're continuing to grow and adding thousands of units per month that we're installing. So we'll get into some of those numbers here in a minute, kind of some of the market validation. But I also want to bring back in a minute here, it wasn't just about the rent increases that really surprised us. It was really around some of the unique ways that clients are utilizing the system to defer profits, to do accelerated depreciation. There's a number of factors. And so those are some of the things I want to share here in a minute with you once we get a little further down the slide here. Next slide, please.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, can I just point something out? I was going to interrupt you.
No, absolutely.
As a syndicator myself and passive investor, and I've walked a ton of deals. I know Jeff and Rob have done the same with me. It's funny. The three areas I always look at first, I didn't even think about it until I had met you, was the kitchen, the master, we'll call it the master, the bathroom near the master, or the big bedroom, and then the closet. Now, it's funny because I look at the closet to see what the electric panel looks like.
Of course.
And then you're telling me, while we're sitting at the bar, well, they don't have, like, I don't know what you call them, boxes for shelves for clothes and shoes and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm thinking about them. Like, you're right, they don't. I just see half the time a Federal Pacific, which I don't want to see, and just a rack,
Yeah.
and it's very unappealing. And then when I looked at some of the examples you happen to show me on the phone, from my perspective, if I can get my occupancy up from 92% to 96%, even if I can't charge more rent right now because of COVID, that's a win-win, huge win-win. Plus I get to depreciate the expense of the closet. It's just part of it's a fixture. So that pops up in the accelerated bonus depreciation. So I didn't mean to sell for you, but it was just one of those things that I started noticing. And I mean, it sucks. Now I look, after talking to you guys, when I go into deals, I have to look at toilets and closets, and I forget about the rest of the damn apartment. But I'll get over it.
It happens.
Is this where we are?
No, I think we're two more now. I think you went back one.
There we go.
Okay. So what we found was, and Meryl makes a really solid point. Whenever we started in this business, we originally went to the largest of the client sets out there. So we went to, the Night Vest of the world, UDR, Pinnacle. These are all companies that have well over between 50 and a couple 100,000 doors. And the reason why we did that was to test the market set and see whether or not there was a market there. Because if the big guys aren't going to go and purchase it at some point in time, then is there a big enough market? And so what we found was not only did they want to do it, but they're working it into their plans now. And so what I mean by that is we work with all these big companies just over the last couple of years who are spending millions of dollars doing this now because there's very little to be done. But in addition to that, what they're trying to do is differentiate themselves in the marketplace. More people today are officing from home. They're also looking at the fact that the millennials and the boomers are your primary rent classes these days. They're either looking like my mother, they're looking for more storage space because they've got a lifetime supply of stuff. And that's a nice way of saying hoarding, but not a lot of stuff. Or they're on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is they want resort type amenity sets within the apartments. And that's the millennials. And so what we found as we went through this process of talking to them was that the market's just ripe for these types of add-on amenity sets. What really caught our ear, and Meryl made this point, one was the accelerated depreciation. That was one, and I'm not a tax person here, but it's very clever. If you're not familiar with it, definitely get with Meryl and his team on this. It's very clever, but furthermore, we have clients that are using it as a lease up opportunity instead of going out there and doing concessions. What they're doing is they're going in and installing a closet unit and then saying, hey, this justifies that 3 to 5% rent increase, and they're getting it. Additionally, what they're doing as well is they're going in and assessing the property set and saying, look, we're going to put it in these unit sets because they're either slow move, they're long period of time on, being unoccupied. They're doing it on the renovations front. And now what you'll find are clients are coming in and doing it as they go to acquire properties. So they originally started out, and what we do predominantly is on the turns or make ready business. So as those clients leave your property, those residents, we're going in, we're ripping out, putting in a new unit set. And so very much like Kelly was talking about earlier, time is of the essence. Our average time from getting on site to installing is about 2 hours for, a team of two, which you see behind me, which this is a very large closet set, but a team of two, this took about 5 hours is all. So, and this is a high quality product, very much like Kelly's product. Ours is a 3/4 inch plywood based product. It's not an MDF. It's not a particle wood. We want it to withstand the time because we recognize that for our clients, maintenance and repairs and all of these things are big factors. And so for us, that was a big thing in the marketplace. But kind of getting back to the economics and some of the drivers, we have clients today that as they go out and they acquire a new property or getting ready to, we're doing the due diligence. We're walking those property sets very much like Kelly and them are doing. walking with Merrill and Rob and others to go out there and assess and allow them to put that into those numbers into their pro formas and their projections. And furthermore, what we find is we have clients today that are getting ready to exit properties where they're going in and adding this into 10 to 15 units, identifying it as a new program for the next ownership. And so that's allowing them to leverage that into making it a unique sell or potentially even gaining more revenue on the sale of the property. And so again, when you think about what a 3 to 5% rent increase means to you, and our average client sees between a $35 to $45 rent increase. That's nationwide. Now, for your C property sets, we're seeing between $9 and $15, folks. So just to kind of give you some base level numbers there, that $30 to $45, $50 rent increases that we're seeing, but again, the average is between $35 and $40. That's occurring within a B to A set. And the ROI on this is typically with over a 3-year period, up to about 37%, or 37%. Our average client sees it about a 34% rate of return or ROI. And then what does that mean to your asset class? And so, Meryl,
Hey,
if you don't,
Jim,
go ahead.
real quick, I just calculated that on my phone because I like numbers and I know Kelly likes numbers too. So I put $15 times 12 months times 300 unit complex,
Yeah.
and then divide that by a 5 cap, which is a little bit high. That's $1 million in value add. And I get nothing. I literally get nothing from Jim. I didn't even get lunch bought for me when we met, but I'm going to just throw this out there because I'm in the same boat right now. This is just Merrill's commentary, so take it for what it's worth. But right now, apartment complexes are at an all-time high. There's no doubt. I don't think anybody is challenging that notion that they're at all-time high. But we also have is an all-time low in financing, which still makes these affordable. It's really hard to push rents without providing some sort of value add. And so your real value adds right now that seem to be the same everywhere is reserve parking, covered parking, internet package, and I'm not discounting Kelly's toilets because while they're a value add, and by the way, those are also depreciable. Didn't even talk about that. Those are also depreciable. Talk to your tax CPA. But Kelly, we're decreasing expenses and not necessarily having an effect on income, but it possibly could. But it has what Jim is proposing is the exact same thing, but an increase in revenue. Initially, I'm like, who's going to pay extra for closets? But when I first got into the business, who's going to pay extra for reserve parking? Who cares about walking 4 spots away? People pay extra for reserve parking. Who's going to pay $100 extra for high-speed internet? Well, it's shocking, but they do. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I mean, they do, and you bundled it up for them. And so it's interesting. And I'm hoping I didn't get a chance to look at all of Jim's slides. I'm hoping he has a couple pictures of what some of the closets look like. And if not, I'll let him share screen, or we can add them to the presentation when we send it out to everybody tomorrow. But clearly, this is another value add that people should look at. And I'm actually sad I didn't talk to Jim before we got our last deal, but I've already talked to my partners about our last deal to see, as we're doing CapEx and we're going to turn about 1/3 of the units trying to get absolute top market rent, why not? He's going to go over costs and stuff like that later, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't cost $1 million to put 300 closets in, but yet a very conservative number of $15 rent increase one time, by the way, with a 5% cap. That's huge. Anyway, Jim, I did not mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to kind of tie some of that in as I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of the ones that that Kelly had brought up earlier was we have clients that use this as a way to increase their ability to refinance at a much faster rate. It's been very interesting to hear some of these folks do that. The other one I kind of alluded to is the deferred profits. We have clients that'll say, look, tax laws and so forth being what they are, we want to hold off on paying out a dividend this year. So we need something that's a somewhat low cost. We don't need it to be something that's just outrageous that we can bake in that's going to improve the property set, but allow us to write that off. And so next year or the following year, we can then take a profit out. So very clever types of things that they're doing today. But, as we talked about, and I think, go to the next slide. Okay.
This one, yeah, so I underestimated, but this is an A-class property.
This is an A-class property set, yes. So if you're not familiar with NightVest, you definitely should look them up. They're a big outfit. This is their St. James property down in roughly downtown Dallas. They invested with us roughly $300,000 on that property set. I know you're probably sitting back here going, wow, that's a lot of money. I can tell you, yes, it is compared to our average client. Our average client's a lot less than this. Their closets are about what you see behind me now. They are large, and they're working into several $1,000 rents per month. But this is a great exercise, and this is why NightVest now has us do due diligence on every one that they're acquiring, every property set they're acquiring, where they'll go in and look at a $300,000 investment. At this, their return on that was 3.1 million. On at the time, it was a 5.3 cap rate. So one of the things that we do that makes us very unique is very much like everyone on the panel here that we're talking about, we love numbers. So for me, it's all about the business case. The product can look really great, but at the end of the day, I can give two craps if it's not going to move the needle in the direction I need it to.
Only give one crap, according to Kelly.
One flush.
Yeah,
That's it.
one. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes a half flush, just saying.
Half crap.
So what we decided to do was come up with a rate calculator that allowed us to look at what is the investment dollars into the property, how many units are we looking at, what is the exit rate cap rate that you're looking to exit on. We can then look at what are the rents that you're trying to get, the achievable rent bumps, $15, $20, $25 on up. We can then calculate out the ROI as well as what we're looking at to the value of the property. And so we do that free of charge for our clients as they come in, or prospective clients, as well as doing all the layout and design work so we can come up with a realistic number for what the units are going to cost. The average turnkey product for us, this is turnkey. And again, I'm saying averages here. Some are smaller, some are larger. For us, is $750 installed. That's full turnkey. That's us going out, ripping, replacing it with this product, and then letting you guys collect the rents on this. Now, I will say that we do full turnkey. We also sell our product directly to our clients. We do have clients that do self-fulfillment, where they'll just want the materials and the designs, and we do that. And obviously, that's going to come at a considerably lower rate because we don't have the labor cost and so forth there. So that is something that if you're thinking about looking at this product or a product like it, is it something that your maintenance teams can do or a local contractor can do where you can maybe get a better labor rate? And we're all about it. We work with them. We work with GCs to do the installation of the product.
Hey, Jim.
So,
Jim, could we just buy the material and have Kelly's team put it in while they're there?
if they're going to do it in 15 minutes, I'd be concerned about the quality of her team then with my product.
It's not like Geico. But no, so it's funny.
She walked
so
away. Meryl, she walked away.
I couldn't even hear it. Kelly, you just offered to have your people install the closets. We really appreciate that.
Look at that.
She's pretty prepared. She's very prepared. So she's already left the scene. She's like, what are you guys talking about? But so in my skepticism, and Jim, you may be leading into this next, one you already answered, you know, if you've got the bandwidth on your repair and maintenance guys, this is not a complicated thing to put together. So there is a discount and you're still going to get the same increase in value, but You're actually going to have an even higher NOI because your CapEx or whatever you're using to pay for it is less. The other thing I know you're toying with is potentially financing certain clients. I know it's not done yet, but we had talked about something like that in the future because, you know, for some that do want to spend $300,000 on a nicer thing, they may not just have that sitting around in their OpEx account.
So I will tell you now, since we've talked, Meryl, we actually created 2 programs. So I'm excited to talk about it. So for a
Don't I
lot,
get credit for that?
huh?
Don't I get any credit for that?
You do.
Oh, God. Okay, I'm quitting. Go ahead, let's hear it.
So one of the things that we talked about, I know in our sit down meeting, was the challenge, and this is one of the products. This is a reach-in closet set right here. This is a simpler one
That's
that
awesome.
we can install, but that's enough to justify a $25 to $35 rent increase a lot of times. Phoenix is a good example of that. We're installing this quite a bit out there at that price point that we just talked about, and they're seeing those rent increases right now, North Carolina and so forth. So what I can tell you is for a lot of our clients, they came in and would say, you know, we love the product, but we're 2 years into our property. We don't have CapEx for this, or we're gonna have to take out of our operating capital. And it's just, you know, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul here. So we actually got so tired of hearing people say we love the product, but didn't have the money, that we have launched 2 programs now. One is a loan-based program at a 3.8% interest rate over a 4 to 5 year period. That is unsecured. Now, the reason why we did that was because of your primary lien holder's position, and they're going to say we can't have a lien on the property, a secondary lien. The other thing that we did, and again, all of our roots are around multifamily. So this product is designed for that. So are our programs as it relates to financing. The other one is a lease program with a dollar buyout. And our average lease program that we're just launching, the average client's paying about $22 to $23 a month for that program. And what I already told you was our average client's seeing a $35 to $40 rent bump. So if you do the math real quick, you're cash flow positive immediately on it, and it's impacting the NOI immediately. And you don't have to come out of pocket for CapEx or wait. And so we're actually doing that with a lot of big institutions right now. We're starting those up right now, those programs.
Wow. So
So
what's the top deciding factor?
I'm sorry?
Tell me, 70% top deciding factor.
So it's one of the top deciding factors as it relates to, and this is third-party groups that we went to. It really revolves around space, closet space in general, as well as whether or not they're willing to pay an additional rent amount for more storage space. And so one of the things we haven't even talked about is that our product typically increases the workable, usable square footage, cubic square footage of the space between 47 and 53%. Typically, like you talked about, Meryl, I know Rob and I talked about, even Kelly, that you're dealing typically with a bar and a shelf, or a bar and a rod, something of that nature. Ours, you can come in and we can increase that by adding, you know, double units, or what we call double hangs. We can add the tower, shoe racks, and so forth. Our product is so strong because it's a 3/4 inch plywood based product and it's cleated. The top shelf actually becomes a shelf where people have stored stuff. And, you know, again, we've had people that will do chin-ups on it. I have a VP of Ops said, if I'm here right now, he'd be doing chin-ups on it. He weighs about 210.
You could put your old toilets on it.
I'm sorry?
You put your old toilets on it.
Kelly could do that if she prefers. Yes, she can.
Yeah.
She can set them up there. She's putting the new one on.
Well, toilet paper and, you know, all sorts of other things, because you may have more than 3 to 5 flushes per day.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So you covered the additional rent. Fall in love. Now, I will say that I'm pretty sure, except for me, no one is going to hit 72% for Kelly as far as falling in love with flapperless toilets from a tenant perception. But I love my flapless toilets. But I can see the closets. That's very impressive because it's physical. People, you're not going to look underneath the toilet, except Kelly, just inside the toilet to see if there's a flap. I'm never going to forget that. And Rob's going to have some great times with some of those clips later. Sorry, Kelly, but you know, it's going to be good.
It's happening.
But no, I mean, I'm learning more, and I'm speaking on behalf of probably a lot of people here, but I'm learning more than what I learned the other evening when we were talking about it. And like I said, I'm pretty excited to talk to you about putting this in some of our units, especially some of our Bs, where I think we're we're missing top market rent, and this is clearly something that gets you right to the top fairly quickly. So I'm actually really excited about it. In addition to my water conservation, Kelly already knows we're working on that. She wants to talk now because she unmuted herself.
I did. I was just going to share that this seriously is like one of the best kept secrets. So literally hidden in the closet, right? So Jim, you and I got connected, right, during COVID when we were all in shelter in place. And it has been a long and, tedious process for me of understanding and really, because I am a numbers nerd, because I need to be able to see the data back into the numbers, test it, but then also touch the product and see it. And so now through that, I am very, very comfortable to endorse and to partner and, refer to, Jim and Clozzits as, one of my partners in this industry who are really bringing innovative solutions. And that's what we're trying to do, right, Meryl, is bring forward those innovative solutions and educate these owners and investors on how they can more effectively manage their properties, because we're not doing it the same way we were a couple of years ago.
The clients change. I agree with you, Kelly. The resident has changed and their tastes have changed. And unfortunately, we talk about it internally, even that it's all about conditioning, right? And the industry is so conditioned to work a certain way. And you're really looking for those mavericks of people and companies to go out and do something. And when they do, it's very interesting. One of the very first clients we had, it was probably 3 months later, we got a call and this company's talking about their property set, and we're looking at it and we're going, okay, that's right across the street from where we're currently installing. And when we ultimately got down to it, it was that they were being shopped by this company and they were being hammered on the fact that they didn't have the closet system in there, that they had the wire racking. And so the best compliment we have today is when competitors come in and go, hey, we really need your product in here, or we're going to get an alternative product. And one of the big ways that we've been able to do it and make it cost effective in the multifamily industry is by manufacturing the product, controlling the process all the way through. Very much like your relationship that you have with Niagara, it's having that streamlined process so you can drive the costs and economies of scale and ultimately get the product in the hands of the people that need it. And so that's where we exist and why we do what we do. And I know that's why you guys do what you do, Kelly, on your side as well.
Yep.
Can we stop talking about doo-doo?
That absolutely.
So these are some of the very small clients that you've worked with. I know you're not braggadocious, but just some of the small clients. I can tell you that most of the people listening or tuning in right now are much larger than these groups, but they probably to get some more information from you. I'm not kidding. I would, when I'm underwriting a deal, and I did on my last deal I looked at, put a line item when I have other income now is for redoing closets, just like I have a line item for water conservation. And it's not so much a line item, it's a huge decrease in the water utility, because I'm going to assume it's just kind of a no-brainer. That's just part of what is broken on the property. Now I got to start getting a list from Kelly to find out if she's already done something to these properties, because they're becoming so popular now. I'm sure she'll come up with something else. She's very innovative. By the way, real quick, Kelly, what did you call that that meter? That's got to be a name you came up with.
The Flowy O.
Did you come up with the Flowy O?
I did not. I wish I could say I did, but I did not. I did not come up with that. But nope, Carl did not come up with that. I have a partner who did. So it is the Flowy O powered by SAS.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
I know. So
Bob?
Yeah, so the crap is flowing. So
yeah, well, it's better than it not flowing. Then you have to deal with what I dealt with and have your sewer colonoscopy last week. Let me see what else we have, because I'm way over time, but I think this is really important. I know, and you were trying to get to Perry's, but I think Jim's more important than Perry's at the moment. But
Thank you.
we're kind of talking about your deal and we're talking about your business and kind of superseding the slides because we've talked about a lot of this. So Jim, I'm looking at a 250 unit in Houston. What information do you need from me if I want to get an idea of how much it's going to cost so I can write it into my budget when I'm making an offer?
Great question. Typically what we're wanting the floor plans. So typically the older unit sets, there's not too many floor plans. Newer units, we may have 60 to 90 floor plans. They really like to make each one of them unique almost. But for properties that are built, pre 2010, they're usually 14 to 20 unit sets. We'll take those, we'll design them out. Typically takes us 2 to 3 days. And what we do is then we configure it, we cost it out, and we basically say, look, here it is full turnkey, or here it is if you want us just to ship you the product with the designs and you can use your team on it. We do have video sets both in English and in Spanish for our clients if they want to do it themselves. We've had so much demand for that we do have both assembly and installation instructions for that. And basically, once we have that, it's a matter of then if they say, let's green light this, let's go. We're setting them up as a client, and then we're going through the process of getting them into our schedule to work them in and coordinate with their on-site team or the asset manager, whomever it might be that's in charge, or the property management group. If we're just sending the product down, then we're saying, which unit sets do you want? And then we're going through that process. Now, mind you, something to consider, we do a lot of turn business. So we have clients that'll call us a week to 2 weeks in advance and say, here's what we've got coming up and available. The B1, the B3, the C5, the D3, whatever it might be. We then are identifying and saying, great, we're going to install on this day for you based on what you're telling us the schedules are. We go in there, we rip and flip, as we like to call it, or it's already cleaned up based on the client. They've already got it cleaned out for us, and we're moving on. Now we do have other clients that also do it on the occupied, so we will do that as well. Our insurances will cover that, and we'll do the installations on occupied.
It'd be really interesting if someone could go in and do all their water conservation at the same time that the closet's being done. So it's really only a couple hours of quasi inconvenience for the tenant. You guys should think about that.
I think so. I think that's going to need to be our next project, right?
Yeah, and Rob and I are actually creating a biodegradable toilet paper company that senses how much toilet paper you actually need based on the junk in the toilet. I'll call it junk, based on the contents of what ends up in the toilet. So I think that could be kind of a value add for you guys. So it would,
Maybe there's a technology play in there for closets. I got to figure it out. I'll think.
Unbelievable, along with the dietitian. So listen, I honestly, all kidding aside, I truly think these are both extremely good value add opportunities right now when we're all seeming to struggle with how do we increase our cash on cash and the value of our assets when it's time to either refi or to sell. And whereas Kelly's business decreases your expense, which is a plus side your NOI, your business increases your income, which is also a plus side your NOI. So imagine doing both at the same time where you're decreasing some expense and increasing income. So we're looking at where Kelly's might increase your value by $500,000, and now the Clozzits, not on an A+, but let's call it a B or B-, increases by $1.5 million. You've just increased your value by $2 million, and you're not even close to putting in, a quarter of that. Not even close to putting a quarter of that into cost, let alone from just the additional, revenue and other things that market demand. So to me, it's just another line item, no brainer. And I really hope more people see this. We're obviously going to post it on YouTube, and we're going to give everybody who signed up, not just those who are listening, but everybody signed up, a copy with your contact information. And I really want to thank both of you again for spending Tuesday night with us. And thank God Kelly's going to make it to her dinner at Perry's. Thank God, because I was really worried. I mean, God
Getting
forbid she
hangry.
could offer that to take any
Yeah.
of her friends that always promote her businesses to places like that, but whatever. But again, thanks guys for joining us, and look forward to seeing you guys again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, likewise.
Have a good
It's been
evening.
fun.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye, guys.